Hey, I'm Owen.
Hi, I'm Suzana.
We're joined for this episode by Bisbee, who is sitting in my lap today. Hopefully she won't be too distracting, but she's immediately super excited.
Yeah.
The second I started talking.
She just needed to be close to you today.
Hi, Bisbee. Super excited for this page.
Yeah.
This is a little bit of a, I guess, a change of pace from the pages that we saw that started the scene.
Yeah.
Kind of, this is, whenever we do these scenes that explore Eli, I'm always really excited to take the good with the bad, I guess. I really like revisiting how Eli was when he was young.
Yeah.
But I also really enjoy getting a glimpse into why Eli is the way he is now that he's older.
Yeah, for sure. I actually really enjoy that aspect of him. Just because, like, so much of his life does inform who he is now.
Yeah.
That, like, even though it's, like, fun to see the fun younger person he was. Well,
yeah.
Fun in quotations.
Sure. The super serious but dragged along for the ride passenger of person that he was. Sure. Yeah.
Willing.
Yes.
Willing to be fun.
Yes, willing to be fun. Yes, exactly.
And seeing, like, what kind of person like that can become in old age after,
Sure.
like, the sort of life experiences he's had.
Yeah.
I actually really like that exploration because he is kind of the person at this age that I typically don't like.
Yeah, it's true. It's, he did start off kind of passive, and he was easy to bully into doing fun things, but, like, that isn't him anymore.
Yeah.
And I think I don't know, I think there's a lot of value, especially for me personally, in not trying to reframe this person as, so he was good.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, no. I mean, he might have been, one way once, but the dramatic trying to overcompensate for it and trying to swing back the other direction, the beginning doesn't erase the harm that the second half did.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And I don't know, I really like, I enjoy exploring, especially in Slice of Life, I really enjoy exploring why people do not necessarily the best thing.
Yeah.
Everyone has a reason for the way they do things, right?
Yeah.
Everyone comes at their problems from different perspectives and different reasons. And for the most part, most people don't act intending to do harm.
Yeah.
They're trying to do the best they can.
Yeah.
Right? But
the world is paved by good intentions.
Yes, yeah, the road to hell is paved with good intentions.
Yeah.
But
yeah, that's it. That's the one.
That's the one. Yes. But that doesn't mean that just because he had good intentions that you excuse all the behavior.
Yeah.
And it's totally fine and you don't talk about it.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I just think it's really interesting to kind of play with, he was once a fun person.
Yeah.
He was once, willing to sit in the passenger seat. But that doesn't mean necessarily that you just erase any time that his unwillingness to be more flexible did direct harm to people.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And it's, I don't know. I like pausing.
Yeah. Like I said, nowadays he's not particularly a person that I would like.
Right.
In person, I wouldn't like this person.
Yeah.
But, like, at the same time, I can find the things about him that are likable.
Yeah.
And it's, like, specifically as a character, he's more easy to like.
Sure. Yeah, I guess that's true. I guess I definitely have characters that I pretty much like every character in Tori.
Yeah. I would agree with that.
But not as people, necessarily.
Yeah.
There are some characters that I dislike as people.
Yeah.
There are definitely characters that if I knew them in real life, I would not like them.
Yeah.
And part of what makes them who they are is based on people I haven't liked in my life. I say again, Eli is not my father.
Yeah.
I like my father very much.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And if my father were more like Eli, I probably would not get along with him now as an adult.
Yeah. That's definitely real.
But Eli as a person is not someone I like, but I like the exploration I get to have through him.
Yeah.
I think it's
valid that this kind of person exists.
Yes.
And their life choices and the way that they are make a lot of sense to me.
Yes, yeah, for sure. I enjoy flipping a perspective around and trying to see things from the other side.
Yeah.
And I think that it's important not to, when you do that, fall into the trap of like, and so then they're good. Yeah. And now we like them. And it's like, no. I think there's another reason why it's important, where it's a fun and helpful mental exercise to try to see things from multiple perspectives in order to get better at being able to talk to people.
Yeah.
Or get better at being able to empathize with people and then maybe to be able to communicate with them.
Yeah, for sure.
So that's a pastime I really enjoy.
Yeah.
Is taking what has been for, the last, 19 chapters, something that we've seen specifically from Liam's perspective, and then flipping it and being like, oh, that makes sense from the other half.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And without necessarily conceding that means it was good.
Yeah.
It may not have been good. It may have been unhealthy.
Yeah, that's definitely real. That's actually what I particularly like about his development is, like, Eli was still a bad person.
Yeah.
He is a bad father in some ways.
He is a bad father. I would definitely say...
Not a bad person, but, like...
A bad father.
A lot of the things that I like about him, he is very accepting of a lot of things very quickly.
Yeah, like what?
He is accepting of Matt. He is accepting of Liam to an extent.
Yeah, as much as it's like, Liam, when he explains he has a boyfriend, Eli is almost immediately like, well, I don't like that.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And
exactly.
But he doesn't linger in it, and he moves on, and it's like, I don't have to
fold it in.
I don't have to like it.
Yeah.
That's not what this is about. Can we talk about the thing that's more relevant?
The more important
exactly.
thing.
Yeah.
And that's something that for Liam is kind of a surprise because he expects that to be a bigger deal than it is.
Right.
Because his father is kind of a bad person in some ways for him.
Yes, exactly, yeah.
Like, they don't mesh well on a lot of things.
Right.
But for all of that, Eli is a lot more accepting than Liam expected. And I kind of enjoyed that about him because he has no reason to not be accepting.
Right.
If you look at who he married.
Yes,
if you
exactly,
look at what kind of life he's led.
He is a kind of flexible person, even if he's been conditioned by trauma to be very inflexible. There is still some part of him that is adaptable and able to say, like, all right, well, we roll with that and keep moving with that, I guess. You know what I mean? Yeah, that is true. And, he may have the knee-jerk reaction of, like, I don't like that, but he can get to the other side of it pretty flexibly, and he can adapt to, all right, well, why, it doesn't even matter what I like. And also, why do I not like that? I can move past that. That's not a big deal.
What I really like about that is, like, because we only see three parents' reactions to this. We see Eli's, we see Dylan's, and we see Nora, and all three of them have drastically different ones.
Sure.
But they're all ones that we've experienced.
Yes, yeah, that's true.
So I kind of enjoyed that exploration. Like, the very accepting parent that is immediately very cool with it, has no problems with it.
Yeah.
The parent that tries but is very not interested also and is also a little put off by it and going to say some kind of mean things but they're well-intentioned.
Yes, they're trying to do the right thing in being accepting, but maybe jumped to being accepting faster than they were even ready to be.
Yes, exactly.
But want to be and maybe are just being a little shitty about it in the meantime. Yeah, for sure.
Just like approaching it less helpfully than they could have.
Right, exactly, yeah.
And then you get to Eli, who is accepting, but also just don't want to think about it. I have more important things to worry about.
Yeah.
And I actually really I like that.
I like, I really enjoy writing gay stories and putting in snippets of things that, they're not necessarily autobiographical, but they are snippets of things that just help me process things that I've experienced. Do you know what I mean? Like reactions that people have had to me, or it feels cathartic.
Yeah, that's definitely real.
To expunge it into fiction. You know what I mean? It just feels like, and especially like to put it onto a character. Kind of gets it out of my head a little bit, and then I can do this thing where I rotate the perspective around and try to see it from another angle, and then it's like, oh, it doesn't necessarily make me feel better that it happened to me, but like I can at least understand it a little better.
Yeah.
And if I put myself in those shoes, I guess I can understand that perspective. Don't love it still. Don't think it's healthy. Don't think it's, the best thing that could have possibly happened.
Yeah.
Wouldn't have done it that way myself.
Yeah, for real.
But I can understand it, and then my brain can kind of be like, all right, well, now you can put it behind you a little bit more. Do you know what I mean?
And process it, think about it in the future.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I think, like, what makes it really fun, and just to write it, too, is, like, a lot of these experiences are very common.
Sure.
A lot of these are things that, like, other people will be like, oh, my mom did the same thing, my dad did the same thing. And it's kind of fun to hear that, because it's like, same hat.
Yeah, same hat. It really does feel like those are my favorite responses to get, where it's like, oh, I'm not alone.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's like, I don't necessarily like put the comic into the atmosphere in order to gain validation necessarily. That's not exactly what I'm seeking, but like when it comes in the form of like, I can connect with this, I feel this personally on the same level. It's like, I love feeling like my experiences are not in a vacuum. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like, at least
they are more common.
For sure. Like, I'm not in it alone. Like, obviously, like, we may get together. Do you know what I mean? It is a lot of our shared experiences. But like, even in that, it's like, I'm not alone. There are people out there who experience this too, and it feels super good to like connect for a moment on like, did it help? I hope. You know what I mean? I really hope that like when you see it from this perspective, like, I don't know, does it feel a little better? No? Well, theoretically, do you think it might? You know what I mean? Could it possibly feel a little better? No? Okay, you know what I mean? But like,
I mean, same.
You know what I mean? Like, no, it doesn't feel better, but like, it's not the worst.
It's kind of fun to like actually have that explored. Yeah. Because like when you see someone else exploring it, it's just like, oh God, yeah, I do get to now think about the experience. Yeah. But through your eyes or through your eyes into someone else's eyes, like you have all these different layers of removal that make it so much easier to process it.
Yeah, for sure.
It's what makes fiction so fun.
It is. It truly is. And then when you come back to it yourself, when you retouch on that memory later, it feels a little less painful. Yeah. And it feels a little less like, oh God, that was... what a tough time. You know what I mean? It really feels kind of like, yeah, I get it. Sucks, but I get it. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? So I like these chances to explore that. I mean, I think it's kind of obvious. These are some of my favorite scenes to write. I write them a lot. Yeah. Every mini comic I've done in like the last like 6 years has been mostly centered around this kind of plot. And
that's so real.
I really enjoy, I don't know, I really enjoy being on this end of their relationship and them not living together, not like they're trying to piece apart. It's not necessarily like father and son and one relies on the other, one is the dependent of the other. They're re-establishing a new adult friendship that is very stunted and is not quite there yet, but it's like the beginning stages of an adult friendship that can happen between these people. Yeah. And it's just, it's one of my favorite things to explore. I don't know. I really like it.
I agree. I have a lot of fun getting to actually make that with you, too.
Yeah, for sure.
Getting to see and explore it with you.
I also like Liam and Eli talking about Riva. Yeah. In a way that feels very different from how good it feels to not explore Nora and Dylan's divorce. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
Riva's death and how it affected Eli and Liam is both of their business. Yeah. Right? And it is healthy for them to process. And it is...
it's important for them.
It is important to both of them to start to process it. It is, like, they find it to be important, right? Yeah. And it's healthy to do so, and it's a good stepping stone, right? And I like that. I like spending the time to do that, right? But I think it's equally... to me, important, and there's a lot of value to me in not exploring Nora and Dylan's divorce, because that is not Milo's business. Yeah. And that is not, it has been imposed on him to have to hear about it. Their relationship falling apart was shared with him beyond what was comfortable for him and beyond what was his business. Yeah. And I like that the conclusion of the problem that he's had with his father is that they stop talking about it. Yeah. Because it's not appropriate. Yeah. And can we decide and commit to the fact that right now we are no longer going to talk about this thing that you've imposed on me beyond healthy boundaries. Yeah. Versus what Liam needs is to start talking about it. Yeah. And I like that.
Yeah, I like that difference in their dynamics with their parents.
Yeah.
I think it's just really fun to get to explore all of that.
Yeah,
it is, so too. Like I said, it's very similar to experiences that we've had in our lives for each part of that. Mm-hmm. And I don't know, it's a lot of fun.
I really like it. It's more fun in fiction, for sure.
Yeah.
But it's good processing, and I really enjoy it. Mm-hmm. I really do. Also, things like this, I feel like... it's a fun chance to kind of explore some stuff that maybe we'd planned to put in the comic at some point, but have long since decided isn't going to be in the comic. So it's fun to get to explore them in little pockets like this. There is a lot of like Eli and Liam's relationship that was like that happened right before the comic that maybe we had planned to flash back to a little bit more.
Yeah.
But then decided like it's fine, we move forward. You know what I mean? That it's fun to explore in pages like this where like you get to see it's referenced a little bit at the beginning of the comic, but like Liam snuck out a lot.
Yeah.
The reason why Eli was like really upset with Liam, didn't know where he was that one time, or he started fighting with kids, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And hearing the fight he had with Milo from the perspective that Eli probably even heard about it would have sounded like more of the same behavior from Liam. Liam was sneaking out a lot.
Yeah.
There was, nights he would just go missing.
Yeah.
And Eli would be like, where the hell did this kid go? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know where this kid went.
Lost him again.
Yeah. Days that he would come home from school because he'd gotten a fight.
Yeah.
This was a very angry little child.
Yeah.
Very angry kid, and he was angrier at the start of the comic, and it was like a fresher anger that had been like leading up to, like, we see it like chapter 1.
Yeah.
He was a snotty, angry little brat. You know what I mean? And it's definitely like sometimes it's easy to forget because he's chilled so much lately. That this was exactly where he was at, even like a couple months before the comic starts.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? He was angry. He was sneaking around. He was lying. He was, you know what I mean? And I don't know, it's interesting to stop and kind of take stock of it. You know what I mean?
I definitely agree with that. I always like this part of Liam. It's very cute to me.
Yeah.
It's something that I never really was. So it's like, I look at him, I'm just like, wow.
Yeah.
He's so bold.
I don't know about that.
Who's bold compared to me?
I think it's just like when you have, Bisbee's excited because we're laughing. When you have parents that like are very strict.
Yeah.
It's not, I don't know if it's bold to like sneak out and stuff like that. It's just that like
it's like the natural conclusion you come to.
If you want to do something but your parents won't let you, then you learn to lie.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like you learn to sneak out, you learn to you know what I mean? So that's what he did. You know what I mean? So he's not like I don't know, maybe he was like a little edgy little teen, but like but he's still like, I don't know, that's just what he was. You know what I mean? And it's interesting, I think, to pause and take stock of it from Eli's perspective, where it's like, I have no idea where my son is, and this is frightening to me. I don't know if he's doing drugs. They're doing drugs to each other. So, it's just like a very frightening perspective for him, and and he's when we see at the beginning of Toy, it's like, why is this dude so strict? And it's like we kind of skip a lot of the build up to he was awful.
Yeah.
He's awful.
So we see a little bit of it now, and it's fun to get to revisit it. Because it was something that we didn't really explore a whole lot then.
Yeah.
It just, I think it is mentioned in the prologue, like you said. It is mentioned again, I know at least that it is mentioned in chapter 10. I think it was chapter 10.
Remind me.
When Milo and Liam are out at the diner. Yeah.
Yeah. No. It's not, it's 9, you're right.
It is 9?
Yeah,
okay.
It's 9, yeah.
Yeah, I think 10 is when they first move in together.
Yeah, because 10 is at 10
halfway.
paces. At 10 paces, and it's because they're about to, his dad and he are in a fight.
Yeah.
That's the only way I remember any of these chapters. Is by the numbers. Yeah, you're right, he mentions the diner. Yeah.
So, at the diner, it comes up.
Because he mentions he's still grounded.
Yeah.
From something that happened before the comic even started.
Yeah.
He's technically still grounded. He's been grounded for, like, the terminology probably used at the time was, like, you're grounded for the next 10 years. And it's only been, like, 2.
Yeah. So, Liam's still grounded even now.
I think he is still grounded even now, technically. He's moved out. so it's fine. But technically, he's still grounded.
If he goes back into that house, he might have to go back to his room and think about what he's done.
He's not allowed to leave.
No.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah. But and it pre-existed the comic. And and they're definitely, I think I would have loved to dip back in and touch on them, but I think as we went, it just became less important to me.
Yeah.
To kind of go backwards like that. I think if you sometimes you just have to pick a place and go forward.
Yeah.
And like all the stuff that happened to a character before then, like you can touch on it a little bit, especially if you're trying to explain who they are. But
it does inform who they are. But
right. But the story started at a certain point.
Yeah, it's not that important
and
anymore.
It's not necessary to go backwards. I don't, you know what I mean? Especially when it's like, if the point of the thing is to progress, if the point of the thing is growth, then it's like occasionally you can touch back in on these other things, but
you can see a little bit of it here and there. We'll get to have it in the story in bits and pieces, and I hope that it at least does inform what Liam is, what he's become, and his anger issues have gotten a lot better since he's changed therapists.
Yeah, since he changed therapists, since he moved out, is a big one.
Yeah, being out of his father's home,
being independent, having a job that he's got to show up for, and is like actually imparting responsibility on him, paying bills, paying rent, what else? Just having to coexist alongside another person, and try to learn how best to support them while not, I don't know, having your toe stepped on. I think living with a partner it does make you age a little bit. It kind of teaches you like what is even important to be so mad about. Yeah, like sometimes it's like sometimes you just gotta drop stuff. It's not super necessary. Do you know what I mean? But when it's like when you live with your parents, it's like it's easier to hold on to it because it's like, I don't know, the perceived like unfairness is a big part of like maintaining the anger that you have when you fight with them. Yeah. But like when the only person that you have to argue with is like your partner, it's like, well, what's my goal at the end of this argument? Is it to resolve things? Then maybe ditch the anger, and you know what I mean? I think there's a scene in the last like major argument, and I don't count like after the Christmas party or whatever, in the last like major argument they had where Liam goes to respond with anger, and he says something that like is something that we see Eli said to him before. That's right. That's after Milo reveals the letter. Rather the letter reveals itself. Exactly. And Milo just observes. And Liam in anger goes to say something that his father has said to him so many times. And we've seen in the comic. And just like kind of deflates, like, it's not productive. You know, like that's not... He remembers what the reaction is to that because he's been on that end. Yeah, exactly. So things like that are interesting to me to play with. I really enjoy playing with things like that. But like, but total dip back in. But I will say, as much as I say totally dipping back into the past isn't necessary, I haven't found it necessary to really like spend a ton of time on it. I do have plans and would love to spend more time in it in the sequel, which I won't speak too much to right now. I think it'll become very relevant, and then it'll make a lot more sense when I get to that point. And I think in realizing that I wanted to do a sequel, and in realizing what the sequel would look like, I was like, oh, all this stuff I had planned can go there. Yeah. Actually. And it makes more sense there. It makes way more sense. It's less like forced exposition. It makes a lot more sense to me why it would even be included. And it'll have more value, I think. It'll have more to say than it would here. I think here it would be like, and that's why Liam is the way he is. You know what I mean? But like later I know what I want to say with it. Yeah. So some of it I've shelved for exactly that reason. Yeah. And that's why it specifically hasn't made it into toys, because I have a clearer understanding of like what I want to do with it. Yeah. But yeah, so that's that. Yeah. It's a little bit of a side thing. Okay, yeah. So I did something very intentionally between panels. Okay. The first and second panel, originally in the first panel I had Liam staring directly to Eli. But then as I like went to sketch in the second panel, I started to realize I should probably actually have Liam mirroring it, because what's actually happening is
Eli's looking at Liam and remembering the little boy that was doing the same expression. Aww. And he remembers that. And then we see Eli in that second panel staring down at him and thinking very deeply about like what's bothering him. And then in the third panel we see Eli looking at him in the same direction, but now he's angry, just pure anger.
I really like that, actually.
And I had a lot of fun with like mirroring Liam between the first and second panel, but then mirroring Eli between the second and third panel to show the change of that.
I really like that a lot.
And then as you get down to the fifth panel there, which is why I bring it up, Eli is doing the same expression as Liam because they're both deep in thought about the same things.
And
regretting it.
I really like, first of all, I have a series of things I really like about this. I really like the shared expressions that you put between related people. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Because this is something I've definitely noticed in real life too. Yeah. And it's something I'm thrilled every time it makes it into the comic to see like Liam mirroring an expression that Eli makes a lot. Yeah. Or and especially to me there's a lot of joy in that because like usually we see it with a beard on. So sometimes it's like a little difficult to pick out like that is the same expression that Eli has made over and over again and Liam makes it in anger or he makes it in sadness or something. And I really like that. I caught it to one of the faces Riva made in the flashbacks was one that Liam has made countless times with Milo, which I really like too.
The sassy enjoyment.
Yeah, just I'm about to fight you. I like you so much. I like you so much. I want to argue with you. I really like that a lot. So I really enjoyed catching that too. So that's the first thing. I really like expressions mirrored between people, even from a single person, from younger to older. You see the same expression on their face throughout the ages. Yeah. And then I like it when you see it get passed on to like through, even if it's like, sometimes I see it get passed on, like Milo starts making expression that Liam's made at him a lot and they like mirror each other that way. I like that too. But I also really enjoy these moments where Liam makes an expression that clearly he's seen Eli make 1,000 times. That's one.
I have a lot of fun with doing that.
I can tell, and I love it. That's a sheer delight, and it is another one of the reasons why I'm really glad I don't draw the comic because I get to enjoy that firsthand, and I really, really like that. Two, one of my favorite things about this sequence is it's something that I really like doing in toy anyway, but usually it's Liam that is the bulk of it, is hair growth. Yeah. Denoting time passing. Yeah. Right.
And personal growth.
And personal growth too. Yeah, exactly. So I really like that this scene we got to see Eli grow into who he is, right? And this is something that really, I don't know if I totally visualized it before this scene started. So to now see it and it's done, like for the most part, all the flashbacks now are done. To see the flashbacks in their full and total culmination, right? Visualizing it, I'm like, that visually worked well. Yeah. Better than I expected it to. Yeah. So I really like that we see Eli without his beard when he's young. And his beard is kind of growing in as he's getting narrower and more, worried and more realizing like he's an adult, he has responsibilities, you know what I mean? Starting to actually worry about the consequences of his actions. For him, coming into his own and becoming an adult came up alongside being very worried. Like, he became a very frightened person. Yeah. And, like, when he's younger and more carefree, it's like, oh, whatever. He looks young, he acts young, and he has less worries. But his beard grows with his worries. Yeah. And becomes more a staple of his adult life, right?
Yeah. It's like a shield. It's a mask.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah. And so I thought that was really interesting. I really liked that. And then I liked that his gray starts to come in with his trauma.
It's a little bit of a metaphor.
Yeah, I really like it. And it's, to look back on it, I think, let's say for me personally, I have started to go gray a little bit. I started going gray in my 20s. Yeah. I'm 33 now, almost 34. I started going gray at 25. That's just genetically my family. Yeah. You're not gray at all yet. We're the same age. Yeah, and you haven't...
I haven't even found a gray hair.
Not a single gray hair. So I know that this happens for different people at different ages.
Yeah.
In my family, we go gray very young.
Oh, yeah. I had an aunt that went gray at 18.
Fair enough. Yeah. I had a best friend in elementary school who was gray already. She was going gray already. She had like a streak of gray hair.
Yeah.
Regardless.
Very common.
Yeah. I know everyone goes gray at different ages. But for me personally, to look at their family, it's a little weird for me to see how old Eli went gray.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I've also known someone who didn't start getting gray hairs until they were in their 50s.
Sure.
So it is very less common.
But also... Cool. To me personally, I'm like weirded out that him being a lawyer didn't gray him faster.
Yeah. I've thought about that before. And it's very funny because I feel as though he would have probably went gray in like getting his degree.
Yeah, for sure. You know what I mean? Like, so for me personally to look at him, I'm like, I don't know. He probably should have gone gray a little sooner. Regardless, it happens differently for anyone, for everyone. Genetics completely dictates that.
He was just so chill as a lawyer that it didn't even phase him.
Sure. Whatever it is. However, I do like the visual, the trade-off for the visual, that he goes gray with Reva's death. It's actually, technically, he would have already been going gray, but we see him go gray with Reva's death, and that's like the beginning of his trauma.
Yeah.
That's when his worry... Because his worry comes in before that. His worry would come in with him, like, having a son. Right? Or at least... Or around the age that he was starting to have a son. That's when he'd actually start worrying about, like, the consequences of his choices and stuff like that. But it doesn't turn into something that was so traumatic for him that he must now become inflexible until he sees, like, how much he regrets his inaction. How much he regrets... what led up to it. And I really like that. And I like this page because the gray is the is what happens panel to panel. That's the difference panel to panel. That's he goes more and more gray on this page. Whereas before it's like he's growing his beard out and that's him like starting to like become an adult and to, you know, like maturing and settling into like his adult concerns and his worries and trying to be a good person and trying to provide and all that.
Yeah.
Then he goes gray as he's becoming so worried that it's going poorly for him. And I really enjoyed that.
Yeah. It's a fun metaphor. I think hair is always a really fun metaphor for anything.
I really like it.
Yeah.
As I was saying, we usually see it with Liam. Usually his hair growth is a little bit, you know,
it dictates where we are in the story usually.
Yeah.
Whenever I do head sketches in the books, I always match Liam's hair to what it was in the book.
Right, exactly, yeah.
Because every single time, like, something important happens in his story.
Yeah, his hair changes
in the entire story. His hair is different.
Yeah.
Each part of the story, he has a completely different hairstyle, and so it dictates where he is in his life.
Right, exactly. I really like that, and I think it's like a visual earmark. You know what I mean? To be able to, that's how his hair was then. That's interesting. Yeah,
and you can know where he is mentally as you see what his hair looks like.
Exactly. Yeah, it's not necessarily like usually his choice.
Yeah, he doesn't always have a choice in the matter.
Yeah, it's not what he would have wanted his hair to be like. Exactly. But it is a little bit of a benchmark for where he's at. Yeah. And I do like that too. More so I think than Milo's. Milo's has just been a straight progression. Yeah. He's just been growing it out since the beginning.
I think that's a lot to do with their own personal growth stories.
Sure.
Because Liam has a lot of back and forth.
Sure.
He gets the haircut short because he's making huge life transitions.
Right.
By the end of it, I actually am really excited to see where his hair is going to finish up.
Yeah, that's right.
We are getting close to the end, so...
Yeah, that's true.
Something I keep thinking about.
Yeah.
And I think we've drawn it before, but I'll have to see if I have it in the folders.
Yeah, hell yeah.
So...
I'd love to sketch that tonight, actually.
Yeah, it'd be a lot of fun.
Cool. All right, thank you for watching to this point.
Yeah.
These episodes have been a little shorter. I changed some things. Not only are we making them slightly faster lately, but I've changed a couple things about the playback duration. So I feel pretty good about this length. But if you made it to this point, thank you. Appreciate you watching.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Bisbee's getting restless, so good time to wrap up. Yeah. Thanks for sticking with us.
Yeah, have a good one.
Have a good one.